Hello, hello, Coach Stacy. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Very good, very good. I was looking forward to speaking with you today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes, awesome. So you know why we're here, right? We're here because
Yes.
we want to talk about our last magazine issue, which was called the Readiness OS era and ending of the trying harder. We don't want to try harder anymore, do we?
No, trying harder doesn't really work.
No, trying harder is making us try even more harder. So that's the end of that,
Yes.
right? Yes. So we want to end it. So that's why we launch this, especially this issue with this message, because it's time for that. So if you don't know where to get it, under this video, I have the link to this where this is being held. So go to that link, click the link, and then underneath it, it'll ask for a password. The password is flow, all capital letter. And if you click that, you'll have access to this issue and all the issues that we've been putting out for the last year and a half. And we always launch them every 2 months. So the next one will be in April. But we're here to talk about this because Stacy actually contributed an article to this, and it's important that we talk about that and ask her some questions. So, but before we start, we have to come here and now, though, because if we're not here and now, we're somewhere else. Where are we? Right? Where are we? Normally, normally, where are we? We are sometimes in the past, sometimes in the future. Sometimes we try to get ourselves here and now, but then our past and future keeps pulling us out in different directions. Anybody can relate to that? Can you relate to this,
Oh, I
Stacy?
can definitely relate to this. It is a daily struggle. You have to make a conscious decision to be in the now.
Yes. So the conscious decision is to notice, right? Notice how many times we're going into the past and catching ourselves, because that's the only way to bring ourselves back here is to notice it and say, oh, why am I over there again? Why am I over there again? Come back here, right? So as you say, it's a conscious pull back, pull back. But one way to stop it and train our mind and our consciousness is to really let it go. Because what is the point of revisiting the past and replaying it and re-listening to it? It's like reading the same chapter again and again and again. How many times? I mean, we all done it, but how many times, right? That's the bigger question, is how many times. So if you're doing that like some of us have done in the past, it's time to let it go, because it's too much. That's the only thing it's available, is to take lessons from it, because the only thing we have from that is the lessons. So take the lessons from it and let the past go. And then those of us who think about the future, some of us do, right? We do. We have to, right? Because it's our life. What's going to happen to me tomorrow? In 1 year, what's going to happen? It's okay to think about the future, but the problem is that most of us, what we do, we project the past and we think about the future with that lens. When we have the past projecting the future, what do you think is going to happen?
Nothing good.
It doesn't look sometimes that great, right? It doesn't look exciting. It looks like I have to redo that again, right? Because we are projecting it. So because we're letting go of the past, again, when you're dealing with future, you have to really look at it from a new lens with full opportunities, right? That you can imagine. And because we can imagine so many beautiful things, let's imagine those and bless it and release it, because it's available to all of us. I don't need to create the future. I just have to let it allow to come to me. I can set the desires, intentions, and I have to bless it and release it. So when we do both of those, look, my hands are free. I don't have the past or the future worrying me. So right now, my hands are free, so I can bring it together. And when I bring it together, guess what? I'm now in here. Perfectly works. We're built for this. You see, even our body works like perfectly to come here and now. So when we're here and now, why is this here and now so powerful? Because here we can learn. Here we can live. Here we can lead ourselves and other people that we're responsible for. But if we're doing either the past or the future all the time, there's nothing we can do there. No one's there. So everyone's here, right? Everything is here. So thank you for coming here now. So to bring yourself here and now, what do you do? Like, how do you bring yourself here and now? Is there anything you
few things that I say to myself, and one of them is the now is what makes the difference. So I'll just remind myself, and I usually do it with breath, because breath always centers you. It always takes you to a place where you can kind of pause in the middle of the world and just bring yourself back into the here and now. So when I start to have stress, when I start to have worry about, oh, how am I going to do this? I've got to get this done. I'll take a minute and I'll take a nice breath and I'll just let it hold for a second. And as I release it, I ask myself, what can I do right now? Right now, in this moment, what can I do? And then I allow myself to be okay with not having to solve the world's problems and just solve what is right in front of me and is something I actually have power over in that moment.
Yes. So breathing is one of those techniques you do to help yourself. How do you breathe? Like, what is there a technique you use that's good?
Probably my favorite one when I'm really under duress is I will breathe in for 4, hold it for 4 to 6 at the top, and I hold it depending on how stressed out I am. If I'm more stressed out, I'll hold it for the whole full 6. And then I try to breathe out at about half the pace that I breathed in. So if I breathe in for 4, I'll hold for 6. And then I'll breathe out slowly for 8. And then I'll pause and I'll do a check-in with myself. Am I good? And if I'm not, I'll do it another time or another time. And sometimes if it's really a rough day, I might get up to 5 times before I feel okay. Now I'm in a place of calm. Now I can use the front of my brain instead of my lizard brain to make my decisions.
Beautiful. Love it. So let's do a few of those. Can we do 3 of those rounds?
Yes, let's do that.
So inhale for 4, right?
Inhale for 4. Hold at the top for 5 or 6. And then exhale for 8. And then in for 4. Hold for 5. Exhale for 8. And that just really brings me into my center and allows me to think clearly.
Okay, let's do one more. I like it. I'm getting into
Yeah,
this.
it does feel good, doesn't it? One more. 4. Hold for 5. For 8. It's delicious, isn't it?
Yes, I love the 8 because then I get to push everything out. Anything that I don't want in my life just goes out, 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 out. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, those of you who are watching, you probably think breathing is not that, powerful, but when you start doing it, it's pretty powerful. And when you do it at the right time, like, you were saying right earlier, Stacy, when you do it at the right time, really it changes your brain, how it can think, how it can handle things, right?
And it slows your heart rate so that you're not in fight or flight, and it allows your nervous system to breathe as well, and to take a break for a second and think, oh, I actually can take care of this situation. I'm overstimulated. It calms that stimulation down and it allows you to be in a moment where you can actually make logical, intelligent decisions.
Yes. So going to our magazine and the article you wrote. So on that article, I wanted to tell the viewers that we always talk about we have to learn, but we also have to unlearn. It's not always about learning, right? We have to let go of certain things, unlearn a lot of things to then relearn and learn something new, right? So this magazine is full of that. And we're not afraid to share because we want you to know that we're all humans. nobody's perfect, and anyone's pretending to be perfect, they just don't share. That's all. That's the difference, right? And we're not afraid to share it, because every one of us needs to share so that we can all feel at home. Like we can feel like, oh, she has it, I have it, everybody has it. Now, what do we do about it, right? That's a way better conversation into me pretending like I'm always been so perfect in my life. I can't even say that, but yes. So, so you said in the article there was a moment, something cracked in you, not in the student, but in you. What exactly shifted in your thinking in that moment in your article?
What shifted in my thinking in that moment was that I didn't have to push to be supportive. Like, I think there's this mentality that exists that if you're coaching, you have to be like a football coach where you push, 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 push. And the pushing is not what our nervous system needs. And it's not what these children or adults or anyone in crisis needs. Pushing doesn't help anyone in those moments. And so what I realized was what I was trying to do was be supportive, and I was doing it in a way that was completely ill-fitting for what I was trying to accomplish. So I had to relearn and let go of the idea that pressure was something that was going to be helpful. Oh, if I just hold them to it, if I just press a little harder, they'll get it. They'll get it. But the truth of the matter is that that was completely counterintuitive when it comes to your nervous system.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, right? If we think about it, we know so much, but then we do it in education and in learning. Like we think that's when we have to talk more or tell them more, and then that's why it becomes such a lecture, right? People say,
Yes,
"Don't lecture me."
we end up talking them to death instead of actually listening to them and hearing what they have to say, because they know. They may not be able to put it into words, but they do know when something is wrong. And we just need to get out of the way and listen to what they have to tell us, because they almost always know the answer themselves. It's just a matter of us being willing to stand there and guide and help them unpack it. But pushing does nothing.
No.
It just
And I
shuts them
almost
down.
like with sometimes, I think of it like a coach is somebody who's like seeing their client on a trampoline. They're jumping, 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 but they're quite not jumping to that leap in their to reach their full potential. But we hold that space for them so they can jump, 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 right? And then when they're ready,
Yeah.
we can see it. We can see it. It's going to happen, right? It's not on top. You better learn this. You better do this. Do it harder. Do it faster. Yeah, that doesn't work. So when you look back at Benjamin now, what do you see that you couldn't see then?
What I see now that I couldn't see then was that he was struggling just to understand the lack of readiness in his life. He wasn't ready. His capacity was there, his willingness to do more and be more was there, but he just wasn't ready. He didn't know how to unlock the door and walk through it. And what I realize now is that if I knew then what I know now, I would have led him to the door and said, okay, here's the door. How do you think we get through, Benjamin? And I would have let him help me to guide my hand to help him, because they know, everyone knows what they most need. They just have to be given a safe place, because felt safety is honestly the key to everything. If you do not feel safe, both in your nervous system and generally with your coach, if you don't feel safe, like you can be who you are and experience what you're experiencing in that space, then it becomes a struggle for someone. So Benjamin just needed someone to be with him in that moment and let him be ready to learn and open that door so the capacity could be there.
Yes, beautiful. Love it, love it. So as a holistic neurogrowth success coach, you're using the Readiness OS now. How has that changed from being a teacher's perspective, like from the teacher's perspective?
I would say it's a completely different world, but I think it's more like looking through a different lens. My eyesight is better now. I got a new pair of glasses and they work a lot better now. I think I always knew there were problems, but I didn't necessarily know why. It's like having a pair of readers on when really what you need is something to drive with. It doesn't work. If you have the wrong lens in, you're not going to be able to see clearly what's wrong. So what Readiness OS has taught me is that the lens that we think common education, traditional schooling, looks at people in a very specific way, but it does not allow for the differentiation of individuals and their own experience. And that is a struggle. And so Readiness OS, the beautiful thing about it is that we do look at the individual. We look at someone as a person and we see what they need and what will help them because of that. And it's what I wish I could have done in school. I wish I had had time to look at every single child and address their needs individually. But that was not what I was going to be allowed to do as a teacher. So that's the biggest change, is that I now can see the individual and my glasses are nice and clean now. And I love that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for seeing them through those classes, because they need to be seen first for any change to happen, right? And that's why we're dealing with so many behaviors now. We keep calling them behaviors, but they're just signals. These children, everyone are showing signals because they're not safe. They're not supported. They're not grounded. They're disconnected. Yes. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, was there resistance inside you when you first realized effort wasn't the answer? Going back to
I
your
think
article.
I think there was a little bit of resistance simply because you don't like to have what you believe to be truth your whole life shaken. I think that what I realized in my own experience was that my nervous system was now in a state of panic about, holy cow, everything I've been doing is wrong. Why have I been doing it this way when this makes more sense? And so I had to have a Readiness OS experience for myself where I could get myself into the headspace and be like, it's okay that you didn't know everything. You would never be upset with a child or your best friend for not knowing what they don't know. All we have to do is find ourselves in that place where we accept that the new things we are learning and seeing have the power to change lives. And that's really ultimately what matters. So even though I resisted and felt a little uncomfortable initially, that changed rather drastically as I started to realize that this was not about me. This was not about perfection. This was about finding what worked best for the people who were in need.
Yes, absolutely. So, we love to say try harder. Try harder, right? Even if we don't use those words, even if we don't exactly use those words, we can use other words like come on, let's do it. I mean, it implies the
Let's
similar
get it
thing.
done.
Let's
Pull
get it
up your
done.
bootstraps. Let's do this.
Why can't you do it? I mean, what's going on? Like, why don't you just do it? Just complete it. It's not that hard. Like, there can be multiple ways of saying similar to this, but try harder is the ultimate way to piss somebody who's already on the edge.
That is definitely the truth. When we're in crisis, we don't want to be pushed. Why would a child or another person who we might be talking to feel great if we start pushing them when they're in a moment of crisis or in a moment of confusion? And it goes back to what I was talking about with felt safety. If you don't feel safe, you're not going to be able to make that forward momentum. You're not going to be able to bounce higher on the trampoline. You're not going to be able to produce the material that you are required to produce for a class. You will shut down. because that's your nervous system's way of protecting you.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so,
Well, why do we then use it in parenting and education as if it's going to work? Like, where did we learn this? Like, we all did it. I did it. You did it. Everybody did it. And
oh,
now we,
everyone's done it. Yeah.
well, why do we think
It,
it's the way to go? Let's go. Let's try harder now. Let's get it done.
I think the reason that we feel that way is simply because it's what we've been sold for so many years. We just accept that this is the way it's done. And until we ourselves experience that it's not working, or we have our child trying to go through the system and it's not working for them, or in my case, it was my nephew. I was looking at what was going on with my nephew and thought, wow, he is really not being seen. He's intelligent, he's vibrant, he's an amazing child, but he's not being seen. And it's not fair that he's not being seen, just simply because he's wired a little differently than your average kid. But how should that, and telling him to try harder was insulting. And when I realized, well, if it's insulting to have him have that said to him, then it's probably insulting to every living human being on the face of the earth to be told that. I think most people want to do good things. I believe that humanity has a lot of goodness in it and that people can make a difference in the world.
Mhm.
So if we believe that, if we think that about people, then telling them to try harder is completely counterintuitive. They're probably already trying the best they can with what they know. We need to grant them some grace and give them some space to come to an understanding that maybe what they're doing isn't working. And that's when they'll be willing to walk down that road with us to learn and maybe change the way that they do things.
Yes. So how can somebody tell the difference between, we just talked about this lack of effort, because we always say lack of effort to kids too, right? Students as well, versus lack of readiness. Like, how can somebody tell?
Honestly, I don't know that we really have a lack of effort as a general rule. I think that most people are built with the desire to succeed. And because of that, instead of approaching someone with, are they lazy? I go and I check if they're ready. And if they're ready, then they're going to take off, or they won't. And at that point, we can address laziness. But honestly, I don't see it as the first expectation when I meet someone. And I don't think it ever should be with anyone. To assume that someone is lazy because they're struggling is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous, because most people want to be successful. Most people want to please their parent if it's a child. Most people want their teacher to be happy with them so they're not getting in trouble in class. Most people want to succeed. They want good things in their life. They don't want the drama that comes with not being on task or whatever the case may be. And if a child doesn't know how to prepare themselves and be in a state of readiness, that doesn't make them lazy. It just makes them unprepared. And that's something that can be changed.
Yes. So approaching it, however, approach with readiness is, are they ready? Is basically easy way to go, and then your lens are very clean at that point. You don't have to go with foggy lens saying, are they lacking? Anything lacking is not a good way to approach anyone anyway, right? From a lack. So you say readiness lives in the body before it reaches the mind. So what are the physical signals people miss then? Readiness lives in the body.
I think that how we know someone is ready is, are they calm? Are they receptive? Are they in a place where they're willing to hear you when you make suggestions to them? Are they feeling safe enough that they're comfortable with you or with the situation they find themselves in? And that's because their nervous system is regulated. And if their nervous system is regulated, then they can be in a state of readiness. But if you sit down with someone and they're picking at their nails, or they're twirling their hair, or they're bouncing up and down, or they can't keep eye contact with you, then you know that they're probably not ready, and that there needs to be some regulation put into effect so that they can be made ready to learn something new or move forward in some way. So the body will always tell you.
Yeah, signals are always present, right? But we miss it though, because we're so busy talking to them and telling them to try harder.
Yes, there's a lot of that.
What does shutdown actually look like beneath the surface? Like, how would that look like underneath?
I think shutdown looks like someone who appears to just be done and unwilling to move forward in any way. And I think that generally internally looks like a nervous system in panic mode. So the cortisol is flowing, the hormones are out of whack. You've got someone who is stressed and unable to stay on task or in that moment. They're doing what we were talking about. They're either dwelling in the past or they're thinking about the future. They can't be in the now because they are in a state of fight or flight. And when someone is like that, that doesn't necessarily mean they're up and running around the room. They may freeze. They may just shut down in that moment. It is almost always their nervous system in a state of panic. So if we can get them to a place where they can feel safe again, then we can move forward after that. But we have to take care of that first.
What do you think about our nervous system when we're working with our children or with our students? What about mind state? Does that affect them?
Oh, yeah. I have told many people in my time as a coach that if you want your child to do well, you need to allow them to see you regulated. It is extremely important that we be a mirror for our children. So if a child sees a well-regulated person who is caring for themselves and is doing what they need to do for their nervous system to accomplish its job of keeping mom and dad safe, then they are going to say, oh, this is something that matters. They are going to value their self-care. And that self-care is in turn going to allow them to accomplish the things they want to because they'll be ready. But if we are showing our children that our nervous system is dysregulated and we're a hot mess, and we are showing that to them, they're not going to have any understanding of what it means to have a regulated nervous system. So we have to teach by example.
Yes, absolutely. What belief was hardest for you to let go as a teacher when you became a holistic neurogrowth success coach?
That I could fix it. Because I can't fix it. I can guide, I can help, I can give options. But the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, only the person in their body can fix it. Yes. This is not about having it up here. This is about having it in here, in your whole body. So if you have any belief as a teacher that you're really in control, you're not. You're not. It's not about you. It's never about you. The only thing you can do that you can control is yourself. Your nervous system is yours to control. But as a coach and as a teacher, as much as I love my students, as much as I enjoy working with people, I understand at the end of the day now, in a way I didn't as a teacher, that I am not the catalyst. I am not the one that helps the decision occur. I am just someone who can give some steps and some guidance and walk them toward that. But ultimately, they have to do the work. They have to. And when they learn that, I mean, I can be that good example, like I said, but I can't solve the problem for them. And I think that it was a two-edged sword for me, because it hurt to think, oh, I really don't have as much effect as I thought I did.
Mm.
It was also the most liberating thing in the world to understand that the only person I could save, so to speak, was myself. And then I could be a good example to help others to save themselves.
Yes.
But that's the beauty of it, is that you give them freedom. They don't feel like they have to lean on me for the rest of their life. They learn to stand on their own. And that is the most beautiful thing. Such a gift.
Yes. Empowerment. Love it. Love it. So you said you stopped equating compliance with engagement. Really? I thought that's engagement. I'm kidding.
No.
That's powerful. So how often do we confuse the two? Because if children sit and do the work we give them, right? And
I
then
think we
engaged.
do it a lot. Yeah, I think we do it a lot. I think that we think that, oh, well, if they do what I tell them to, then they're engaged. But honestly, going through the motions does not make you engaged. So you've got one of two things. You've either got a kid who won't comply, and so we just assume that they have absolutely no desire to do what we're asking of them, instead of understanding that maybe they can't comply because they're not in a place of readiness to understand how to do so. Or you get the kid who complies, but is just, it's irrelevant that they did. They're doing it because it will shut you up, but they never learned anything and they never accomplished anything because of it. It was just, I'm doing this because mom said I had to, or I'm doing this because coach said I had to. And that does nothing for them. It just teaches them, if I go and do something, it will keep people off my back. It won't better me. It won't make me understand what I need to understand, but it will get them quiet. They'll leave me alone if I do that. And that's a tragedy. Yes. Because if we just make sure someone's ready, then they can receive what they're being given and actually be excited by it. And how novel would that be, to have people that were actually excited to learn and excited to do things that were good for them? Yeah. I like that world a lot better.
Yeah, me too. When schools mistake calm behavior for safety, what are they missing?
I think they're missing, especially the quiet kids, who just because they're sitting there quietly doesn't mean they know what's going on and doesn't mean they're receiving what they need. And because they're quiet and we live in a very loud world, they end up falling between the cracks and then they're not receiving what they need. And that worries me a lot. It worried me as a teacher.
I was one of those myself.
Yeah, we've talked about that was your struggle. And I have a lot of people I love. My best friend was one of those people. I will just, sit over here in the corner. I may or may not know what's going on. I'm doing the best I can, but right now I'm just trying to survive and want to be alive still. And that is honestly how it was. And I've had several kids who have come up to me in my years of teaching and said, thank you for paying attention to me. You have no idea how hard it was for me to even want to come to school today. The fact that you said hello to me, you're like the only person who did. You are literally the only person who communicated with me. So just because someone sits there and complies and turns in the work and, it doesn't mean they're getting what they need. They're just another cog in a system that is not working.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, there's a lot of kids who just mask all that and sit, right? And there's lots going on. They got a lot of things going on in their mind as they sit, right? So we have to be careful of that. You left teaching because of pace. What does honoring pace actually require?
I think honoring pace means that I am taking care of my own nervous system. I left teaching because it almost killed me. I was working 60-hour weeks and it didn't help. My health was endangered by it. And when I would talk to my doctor about it, he was like, you need to look at the pace of your life. You need to think about what is viable for you personally. And then what I learned from that was, if this pace is dangerous for me, how is it for these students?
Mm.
How is it for my fellow colleagues that are doing this too? Just because I had an autoimmune disease that cropped up and gave my attention to this a little more of a spotlight than it might have for other people, doesn't mean that it isn't a problem for everyone. The system is a mess. The pace is ridiculous, and it doesn't allow for people to contemplate and meditate and maybe breathe a little bit during the day and not be go, go, go every second of the day. The pace is not conducive to learning.
No.
It's just not. And
And
as
thinking that
such,
and thinking that everyone should follow a pace also puts so much pressure on everybody involved, including the
it really does.
administrators, including anybody above them. Everybody's stressed because of the pace, because it has to
Exactly.
be applied to everybody the same way. We're not the same, so there's that. Right? We're not all same. There's a problem.
Definitely. that is a
The first
problem
problem is
because
that.
we aren't.
Yeah, the first problem is that. The number one problem is that we're not the same. So we can't have the same pace, but we have a system that wants the same pace. So, yeah. So if the readiness is absent, what is the first move you make now as a coach? Like, what do you do? Readiness is absent.
When readiness is absent, the first thing I do as a coach is I check in with my coachee and make sure that I know what matters to them. I have found that if I take the time to learn what their favorite show is, or what their favorite sport is, or whatever it is that they love most, that is a great way to build that relationship of trust. Because until a person trusts you, they're not going to open up and let you help them. That's just all there is to it. So I build that trust. That's the first thing I do, so that they can feel like it's safe to talk about the deeper stuff.
Yeah. And another way is, a lot of the time readiness is absent because we're not here and now. The awareness is missing, right?
Right.
Because they're caught in the past, or if you're caught in the future, they're not here and now. So that disconnection creates the readiness to be absent. So awareness is it's so powerful, because the minute we become aware, we can just catch ourselves, right?
Right.
Like people
And
ask me, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say is, I think that people don't exercise the muscles that allow them to be aware. They just live in a haze. I think we just live day to day, operating at the rate of speed that we're forced to be put under. But something amazing happens when we slow down and actually allow ourselves to be aware. Oh, I really am stressed. Oh, I really don't understand why I feel this way. Slowing down is beautiful, because that's when the magic happens, I think. So yeah, awareness is vital.
Yeah. So that's why that exercise we always start with is so important, because that alone, here and now, brings us to here and now. Here and now is the only awareness I need to be ready to do whatever I'm being asked, or whatever I'm choosing to do. I need to be here and now. And how fast can we do that? Even if life is happening to us, we can always bring ourselves back to here and now if we're aware. And another thing that being aware brings, that's why readiness is absent, is because we don't, I lost my thought there, but what I was going to say is, we don't allow ourselves to, I was thinking something, I lost it. I'll come back to it. Okay. So if what is one thing parents can do unintentionally to increase pressure for their kids? Unintentionally.
I think one of the things that parents unintentionally do is, ironically, overly praise. I think that when parents are not doing it with sincerity, they're just doing it because, oh, my kid is struggling, and if I say all these things to make them feel better, they will feel better. But the truth of the matter is, kids understand sincerity. They understand when you're just feeding them a line. And I've seen this a lot with parents who are feeling insecure in their parenting style. And so they're like, well, I always tell them how wonderful they are. And I tell them they can do everything. And I tell them, and I'm saying, you're putting undue pressure on them. You just need to love them in the here and now and meet them where they're at. And sometimes where a kid is at doesn't deserve praise or doesn't need praise. It just needs attention. It just needs a listening ear. It just needs you to be with them and let them say, you know, I did something stupid and I hit Tommy out on the playground today because I was so angry. Well, you know, that's probably not best practice, but what were you feeling when you did it? And letting curiosity guide us a little bit is very powerful, because I know, you know, there's all kinds of things I could have said about that, but I find that recently there's been this overpraise instead of sincere praise. It means a lot more when it is coming from a place of, wow, I really am proud of you. They can hear that tone, they can feel that sincerity.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we need to be sincere in the way that we talk to our children.
And I was talking to a couple of adults yesterday, and they said that the way that their parents told them, like, you're always good, you're always great, you always know what to do. Like, they heard that growing up, but inside of them, they always felt like, I'm not good, or I'm not doing enough, and they heard it, so to keep up. It was like, unintentionally, that what they heard from the parent started making them had to work harder and harder and harder, and they couldn't keep up. So they started feeling imposter. Growing up, they became imposter. I don't know why I'm frozen, but they became imposter syndrome has developed in themselves, because now they feel like, okay, I don't know if I'm good enough, as some people, my parents used to tell me, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. You know, so that this is a couple of adults were telling me this yesterday on another call. So now what I forgot earlier was that when we become aware, you know, I said I lost my thought. We then can notice our patterns, because we live by patterns, right? When we're not here and now, and we don't become aware of ourselves, what happens is we cannot see our own pattern, the loop that we keep playing or looping in. So the minute we become so aware, we go, oh, I see. This repeats. Right? It's like connecting the dots, and then you connect the dots, then it makes sense to you. No one else needs to point out. You already know. So that's why the awareness piece is so important. That's what I was trying to say. So what does slowing down on purpose actually looks like at home for parents? Like, slowing down on purpose.
I think slowing down on purpose actually looks like checking in with your kids, putting your phone down, and actually listening to them. Putting your phone down, not just to listen to them, but for them to see that they can put their phone down too. I think it's a good example. So I think slowing down means paying attention to your child, and then taking a few minutes to pay attention to yourself. Usually at the end of the day, when we all come together as a family, we may have all had a really busy, crazy day. Have we checked in on ourselves? Have we made sure our nervous system is regulated before we go and converse with our spouse, our children, our friends? And the answer to that is often no. Slowing down is making sure that we take the time to do that, so that we can be our best self at the end of a long work day where we're probably tired and fried.
So if someone is listening and wants to shift from pressure-based growth to readiness-based growth, what's the first internal shift is required for them?
Curiosity. Curiosity is what I honestly believe is the key to that. We have to ask ourselves, okay, what's holding me back? Or, hey, what's holding my kid back? What am I noticing that is gumming up the system? What am I noticing is causing me a problem so that forward momentum feels difficult? And getting curious about it. Curiosity is beautiful because you can't be angry and curious at the same time. So, if you get curious about why your child threw the ball through the window, instead of screaming at them for throwing the ball through the window, you might discover that they actually just tripped and it was an accident. You might discover that it was not actually them, it was their friend, because you slow down and listen. It's amazing how easy it is to automatically go to anger. And anger doesn't help. But when we slow down and we get curious, beautiful things happen. We find out things we didn't know. Our kids feel safe with us. We feel safe in our own body when we pay attention and are curious about, why am I feeling this way? Why am I so stressed out? Isn't it interesting that my shoulders are so tight today? What happened today that got me here? Oh, yeah, it was a rough day at work. What can I do to help regulate my nervous system and make me feel better now?
Mm-hmm. So the pressure-based anything is going to put you at a state where you're not regulated. So doing anything from that state, it's kind of, that's the first shift. Pressure doesn't equate to having a great conversation, being in the good state to talk to somebody. They can feel it, they can sense it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So also when we're under pressure, as you said, curiosity doesn't come because we're pressuring for something, right? We're looking for something to happen. We already know what needs to happen. That's all I want, output. I want output. So that makes me harder to be able to, let them be ready to come to that, right? Yes. So if every parent and educator understood readiness tomorrow, what would change immediately?
I think one of the things that would change immediately is that everyone would feel that they were able to live in the now. I think we struggle to believe that that's something that we can do, and we can. We can live in the now. We can live in a state of readiness, but the only way that we can get there is if we are willing to do all the things we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes, slow down, pay attention, make ourselves aware, and move forward in that way.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say one more thing to that, what you just shared, Stacy, is that there's a dog barking. I don't know if you can hear that. It's been loud. But that's living. We're living. We're real people, right? So life is
We
happening.
are living, and my dog is answering. So
there's some signal coming from the dog. So I was just going to say that when we are under pressure, we're not here. We are looking for that output, right? I wanted to go back to that again. It's very important because it's outcome based, it's performance based. We're looking for a result, and we know it's not going to happen. The more pressure we want to apply, not less. So the more pressure I apply, the more I'm dysregulated. I'm creating the other person to be dysregulated. Now we have two dysregulated systems fighting against each other. Nobody is in sync with each other, right? So there's a big problem. So the minute we step back, release the pressure, right, there's an opportunity to, as you said, to have that curiosity. And somebody might say, like parent or an educator, I don't have time for that, because curiosity seems like it takes time.
of course it takes time. Anything important in the world takes time. I get frustrated when I hear that because it doesn't have to take an hour. Could it if you were a parent? Yeah, maybe it would with your kid. But honestly, instead of just blowing up at someone in a classroom, going over and just quickly saying, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you acting out?" Maybe it's a deeper conversation that has to take place later, but usually that in and of itself will shock a child into a state of, "Oh wait, they actually care." It's amazing. It's amazing how simple it can be. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult. We're not perfect beings, so of course we're not always going to do it right, but we can certainly try our best.
Yes. And also, um, if it's working, the pressure based, performance based, let's go do this, let's try harder thing is working, then everybody should keep doing it. But we're at a point it's not working.
No, it doesn't work.
No, it's not working. So that's why we have to talk something else now, right? We have to figure out what that it's not working. So what's next? What do we do about it? So we're really at a place where we have to ask, what can we do about this? So that's why we're sharing this, because it's really important to bring back the curiosity and step back from the pressure. Like anything under pressure doesn't feel good to nobody, right?
Right.
Even though we feel like the other way would take time, but even the pressure is taking time because it's going in the opposite direction to where you want it to go. So it's delayed anyway. Either way, it's delayed. So we have to figure out what's going to work. But with ready, when your child knows how to get themselves to ready, and when you know how to interact with your child to get them ready, actually life becomes so much enjoyable, easier, and then actually it speeds up. It really speeds up,
And you make
right?
beautiful memories. I think there's so much we could talk about with like how it affects people academically. It affects people on the day to day, but the truth of the matter is at the end of the day, don't we as parents want our children to feel like they feel seen by us and known by us and loved by us? And all of this helps with that. It just is a beautiful supplementary way for kids to truly feel seen by the people that matter most to them in their lives. And I find that very, very beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. So what would you say directly to a student who thinks they are failing when really their system isn't ready?
I would tell them, you're not failing. I know the world would make you feel like you are failing, but honestly, all this is not fully understanding your systems and how everything in the world works. So, what we're going to do is we're going to help you to understand how your body and your mind work together so that you can speak to yourself in good ways that will help you feel like you are able to do anything your heart desires. So, what we're going to do now is work through that. Is that something you would be interested in? In all of my years of doing this, I have never had a kid look at me and say no.
Mhm.
Because how would they refuse that? They see that I want to help. They see that I have a tool that is going to help them to be fully themselves. There's something so beautiful and exciting about that. And that's why I love what we do.
Mhm. Yeah. And if you're a student, you're never failing. Nobody's ever failing. It's just, as you said, you haven't understood your own self yet, and that we have no education around understanding this human that's behind all of the performance, right? And if we don't
Right.
understand the person behind it and the systems that are operating behind the scene to help me perform, then if I'm only focused on perform, try harder, and then that's why we call ourselves, I'm failing, because of the lack of understanding of this human system that's behind it. So the focus is shift. If we shift the focus on the human biology, the soul print biology, then everything shifts.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love it. Anything else you want to add?
Just that I think that one of the things that we need to always remember, whether it's for us or our children, is that we are so much harder on ourselves than we have to be.
Mm.
We have within us the power to do great and beautiful things, every single one of us. And we just need to try and live in the here and now and be curious and trust the process, because we, as coaches, would love to help anyone who needs help with that. We love what we do. It's beautiful.
Yes. And also another word that I want to add is notice, right? When you're
Oh,
curious,
please,
you
yeah.
start notice, because curiosity you have to notice in order to be curious, right? Because every time you get very curious, you're going to notice something. You're going to notice, and you're like just like an investigator. You're just going to notice more, and then noticing it what helps catch the patterns and the cycles and the loops that we all travel in, and which keeps
Then you
us
get
in
to go on a mystery adventure where you find out all of the delightful clues that
Yes.
teach you a little bit more about yourself. So yeah, it's a magical journey, and I love it.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So those of you who are watching today, we were talking about the article that Stacy has sent to us for the Learning and Living and Leading magazine. And we have that for you for free. So there's a link below this video. So click the link and then put in the word flow with the capital, all capital. Therefore, you can read all the articles and you can see what I was talking, because sometimes when I'm picking up these questions, I don't really give you the whole article. So you do have to read her article to know what she's saying behind all of this. But I wanted to bring her here to show you that we have these magazines that come out every 2 months, and it's full of wisdom. You know, it's not customized, but it is full of wisdom because it comes from lived experiences. We're living it every single day. We help hundreds of families every single day, so we know what's going on. We are all teachers, ex-teachers or ex administrators, so we know what it is to be a parent in this time, and that's why we offer a parenting in flow lab. We call them labs every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. If you are free, just send me a message and I'll send you the link and you can join us in that. We actually really help you to become more aware, more ready, and not parent from pressure, because that's not going to help any of us, right? We all tried it. It's not working. So that is available for all of you. It's free as well on Wednesday nights. Every Wednesday night we are online, 6 p.m. Pacific or 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we will have the next magazine coming out on April as well. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I love talking to you. It was amazing. Curiosity.
It's always wonderful talking to you, Kohila. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. I'm always curious. You are too.
Yes, that's true. I always am.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll be back with another coach tomorrow at the p.m. Pacific time. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and be here and now, because here and now is the only place we can be ready. Thank you.